It's midnight and you're tuned in to Nightline with me, Liyana Hassanel. The top stories. Government striving to find funds to cover private sector salary adjustment. And MACC to request Interpol's help to track Tan Sri Muhyiddin's son-in-law. Good morning. The government is working on finding funds to cover some of the payment for the salary adjustment of workers in the private sector. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said this was in line with the unity government's commitment to alleviate the financial hardships of the people.
Kita nak paksa tak boleh di sektor swasta atau tutup semua syarikat. Tetapi kita kata baik. Kita bagi kaedah. Sepatutnya orang tu naik RM200 ke RM1. Dan kita kerajaan sekarang nak cari dana untuk kerajaan tampung sedikit bayaran langsung kepada sektor swasta, pekerja-pekerja.
Datuk Sri Anwar said this in a speech at a meeting with entrepreneurs in Kuala Terengganu on Wednesday. He pointed out that such measures were not implemented in most countries, but the unity government will find the best methods and mechanisms to ensure the salaries of private sector workers are increased. On the public sector salary adjustment, Datuk Sri Anwar said he will announce the decision for the new wage and salary rate either in the 2024 Madani budget or early next year. He added more specific allocations for small and medium entrepreneurs will also be announced in the budget, as their contributions will help expand the Madani economy. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, will request police to include the names of 2 individuals, including the son-in-law of former Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, on the International Police Interpol Red Notice list if they fail to face prosecution. Its Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki said Datuk Sri Muhammad Adlan Burhan and lawyer Mansur Saad were wanted over alleged corruption and embezzlement in the registration, recruitment and biometric storage of foreign workers in a ministry. Speaking to the media after the passing out parade for MACC officers in Kuala Lumpur on Wednesday, Tan Sri Azam said that the graft busters have also requested the Immigration Department's assistance to blacklist the duo's international passports. He further said that the MACC had contacted the lawyers representing the 2 men, aged 48 and 69, to get them to come forward, but they had yet to do so.
Ni tuan-tuan fikir sendirilah, kalau kita dah keluar wanted list ni, maknanya dia gagal lah hadir ke pejabat. Berkemungkinan dia melarikan diri lah.
According to Tan Sri Azam, the MACC had already obtained information on the whereabouts of Datuk Sri Muhammad Adlan and Mansur, but declined to reveal it. He also did not rule out the possibility of calling up Tan Sri Muhyiddin to help the MACC's investigation into the case. Prior to this, the Commission stated that checks with the Immigration Department found that Datuk Sri Muhammad Adlan and Mansur left Malaysia on May 17th and 21st, respectively. However, there was no record of the 2 individuals re-entering the country. Meanwhile, Datuk Sri Muhammad Adlan has denied allegations that he left Malaysia as an attempt to avoid or stall investigation by the MACC. In a statement on Wednesday, his lawyer, Datuk Baljit Singh Sidhu, said instead his client is ready and willing to cooperate with the anti-graft agency regarding the alleged corruption and embezzlement probe. He also said that Datuk Sri Muhammad Adlan has never been arrested or called by MACC for a meeting or to assist in any investigation before he left the country. Datuk Baljit added that his client was contacted by an MACC officer and had responded in a letter on June 3rd that he would be travelling overseas for business and gave a tentative date for his return. However, he claimed that the Commission has not responded to Datuk Sri Muhammad Adlan's letter. The lawyer further said his client had stated that he will certainly return to Malaysia as soon as possible to answer all questions and to assist the MACC with any investigation, so long as the elements of threats and persecution are eliminated. Now, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has called for Tan Sri Muhyiddin, who is also Perikatan Nasional Chairman, to ask his son-in-law to come home and prove his innocence in court. He said Datuk Seri Muhammad Adlan, currently believed to be abroad, should come home to answer all questions by authorities with regards to their probe involving him.
Kalau tidak bersalah, kenapa takut? Kenapa lari? Buktikan di mahkamah. Hadapi pertuduhan. Hadapi perbicaraan. Saya menghadapi pertuduhan. Saya memang mengaku tidak bersalah dan saya hadir ke mahkamah apabila mahkamah menentukan tarikh. Dan saya tidak pernah lagi keluar negara.
Datuk Seri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak has sent his second representation letter to the Attorney General's chambers to drop the criminal breach of trust charges he's facing with former Treasury Secretary General Tan Sri Muhammad Irwan Serigar Abdullah. Deputy Public Prosecutor Muhammad Saifuddin Hashim Musaimi confirmed the matter during proceedings at the Kuala Lumpur High Court on Wednesday. He told Judge Datuk Muhammad Jamil Hussain that the Attorney General's chambers received the letter of representation last week. As such, the Attorney General needed time to review the application. The former Prime Minister had sent in his letter of representation 2 years ago, but it was rejected while Tan Sri Muhammad Irwan's representation was sent in 2020, which was not replied to by the AGC before a new one was sent in March. On October 24, 2018, Datuk Sri Najib and Tan Sri Muhammad Irwan were charged with 6 counts of criminal breach of trust, amounting to 6.6 billion ringgit in government funds involving payments to International Petroleum Investment Company, IPIC. The court fixed September 12 for case management. The stage is set for battle between the Unity Coalition and Perikatan Nasional in the coming 6 state elections, but they're not the only ones contesting. Several smaller parties and independent candidates are also throwing their hats into the ring. Do they stand a chance? FMT's Danish Rajareza reports.
Coalition politics is set to dominate in Malaysia, with the big boys likely to bulldoze smaller parties in their path in the coming state polls. The likes of MUDA, Parti Sosialis Malaysia, and Parti Rakyat Malaysia are expected to fare badly as they go up against the might of Pakatan Harapan, Barisan Nasional, and Perikatan Nasional in Penang, Selangor, and Negeri Sembilan. Meanwhile, in Kelantan, Terengganu, and Kedah, most of the seats will see straight fights between PHBN and PN. Political analyst James Chin tells us why coalitions form the bedrock of Malaysian politics.
The reason why this is the only model available to Malaysia is because Malaysia's politics is driven, at least in the initial period, driven by race.
Race and religion, to be precise. For its part, PN seems determined to wrest power by spooking Malays about the future of their race and Islam. Meanwhile, Anwar Ibrahim's Unity Coalition projects itself as defenders of the real Malaysia, uniting the Rakyat across racial and religious lines and celebrating its diversity. The ensuing ideological fight between the big boys leaves very little space in the political arena for smaller parties to gain a foothold. Meanwhile, the upcoming Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, and Penang state elections will be a useful early test for the new PHBN alliance as it comes up against PN's Green Wave, led by PAS and Bersatu, which has gathered force in the north.
There is not a single party in Malaysia that is capable of collecting votes from every segment of the different racial groups.
Hence the rush to form coalitions where old enmity is forgotten, as new alliances are sought. Politics makes strange bedfellows. UMNO's newfound alliance with DAP has drawn much criticism from skeptics. But probably more perplexing is Gerakan's inclusion in PN. Once celebrated as BN's multiracial party, Gerakan now sits rather uncomfortably with PAS in Perikatan Nasional.
These new political realities have called for smaller parties to adapt and compromise. But their choices leave question marks about their survival by the time the 16th general election, due in 2027, rolls around. But with race-based politics at the fore these days, are the needs of the Rakyat taking a back seat? Azmi Hassan thinks so.
Our politicians must learn to adjust to these new realities. They must tone down their racial and the religious rhetoric and instead focus on the real issues that affect the Rakyat today. especially in terms of economy, jobs, education, and the cost of living.
Dare we hope? Or is this just wishful thinking? Danish Rajareza, FMT for Nightline.
This week on Money Matters, we'll talk about how much you earn or how much you spend, who actually qualifies for government's financial assistance, how to target subsidies accordingly. On Money Matters this week, Professor Tan Sri Dr. Nur Azlan Ghazali speaks about income classification this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and live HD stream on Tonton.
The Cabinet has decided to not proceed with the construction of a new airport on Pulau Tioman. Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Minister Nik Nazmi Nik Ahmad said the decision to discontinue the construction of the international airport is in line with his ministry's priorities on preservation, conservation and the use of natural resources in a responsible manner. In a statement on Wednesday, Nik Nazmi said his ministry had taken note of the concerns raised on the reclamation of protected marine areas, which could result in the destruction of coral reefs and vital habitats for diverse marine species, the main attractions on the island. He also said that the Environment Department had concluded an early publication process of the Environmental Impact Assessment EIA report for the airport, which received 1,412 public comments. The EIA report warned of possible physical damage and habitat loss for marine life during the quarrying and reclamation phase, while artificial lighting would disrupt photosynthesis. The report also contained a marine conservation and rehabilitation plan, which included creating 4 relocation sites and 2 coral farms before construction can begin. The project was aimed at providing direct flights to and from airports in Malaysia, ASEAN countries, India, China, and Australia. Fire claims 11 lives. News from the foreign front when we return. The foreign front. Thailand's Pheu Thai Party announced on Wednesday it had the support of 6 more parties in its attempt to form a government, still short of the required backing, as the country remained in political deadlock nearly 3 months after an election. The announcement comes after the populist Pheu Thai won support from third place Bum Ja Thai, which had refused to back Move Forward over its controversial plan to amend a law that insulates the monarchy from criticism. Thailand has been under a caretaker government for 142 days and faces prolonged uncertainty after election winners Move Forward were blocked from forming a government by conservative legislators allied with the royalist military. Second place Pheu Thai then withdrew its backing for Move Forward last week, but faces an uphill battle to win support from parliament. Under a constitution written by the military and designed to preserve its political power, members of both houses vote to decide who forms a government, which requires the support of more than half of all lawmakers. A fire ripped through a vacation home for disabled people in eastern France on Wednesday, killing at least 11 people. According to authorities, the blaze broke out at about 6:30 a.m. local time, while holiday-goers with learning disabilities and their carers were still asleep in the two-story building in the town of Witzenheim, about 70 kilometers south of Strasbourg. It is believed that the victims were trapped on the upper floor and in a mezzanine area that had collapsed. 17 others who were staying on the ground floor managed to escape, with one taken to hospital with serious injuries. A total of 76 firefighters, 4 ambulances and 40 police officers were deployed to contain the blaze as well as for rescue efforts. The cause of the fire, meanwhile, remains under investigation. Heavy rain from Typhoon Kanun pounded southern regions of Japan and South Korea on Wednesday as another storm approached from the east to threaten Tokyo ahead of Japan's peak summer holiday season. According to the Japan Meteorological Agency, JMA, the storm is currently in the sea south of Kyushu, Japan's southwestern main island, some 860 kilometers from Tokyo, after wreaking havoc in the southwestern Okinawa region. In the meantime, another tropical storm, Lan, had formed in the Pacific Ocean south of Japan and was predicted to strengthen as it heads north, possibly affecting Tokyo early next week. Meanwhile, in South Korea, the country has issued its highest alert as Kanun forced the cancellation of nearly 80 flights and the closure of dozens of sea routes and roads. Officials said Kanun could make landfall at the southeastern South Korean port city of Dongyong on Thursday, before tracking up the Korean peninsula. At least 20 civilians died in the latest clashes between the Sudanese Army and Rapid Response Forces, RSF, in Sudan's greater capital area, Khartoum, on Tuesday. According to its state health ministry, the latest fighting claimed at least 20 lives and injured dozens more. It was reported that the Sudanese army sent reinforcements to break out of the RSF's encirclement in the north of Omdurman and carried out large-scale airstrikes against hostile targets. The RSF, which occupied much of the capital at the outbreak of the fighting in April, then responded forcefully, resulting in heavy clashes in residential neighborhoods and civilian casualties and displacement. The area made up by Khartoum, Khartoum North and Omdurman has been plagued by violence since mid-April between the warring sides, with the fighting in Omdurman further intensified on Tuesday. JDT thrash Sabah to maintain top spot. Sports coming up next. football, the 2023 Super League. 3 matches took place on Wednesday night. Para FC claimed a 3-1 win over Penang FC, while Kelantan FC recorded a 2-0 victory against Negeri Sembilan FC. At the Lika Stadium, visitors Johor Darul Takzim JDT FC remained on top of the league after thrashing Sabah 5-1. The Rhinos took the lead in the 13th minute through Jafri Firdaus Chu, before Wan Muniz struck an equalizer for the Southern Tigers 3 minutes later. The misery for Sabah FC continued after Brazilian striker Bergson de Silva put JDT in the lead in the 25th minute, before compatriot Herberty Fernandes gave the visitors a 2-goal cushion in the 48th minute. De Silva then added the 4th in the 62nd minute before claiming his hat-trick in the 73rd minute. JDT FC lead the standings with 57 points, while Sabah FC are 5th with 36 points. Turning to tennis, third seed Casper Ruud battled past Jiří Lehečka of Czech Republic to enter the second round of the 2023 Toronto Open. A semi-finalist at last year's ATP Masters 1000 event in Montreal, Ruud defeated the 21-year-old Czech 7-6, 6-4 in a tale of 2 sets. The 24-year-old Norwegian will next play either 13th seed Alexander Zverev or Spaniard Alejandro Davidovich Fokina in the next match. Earlier, Germany's Zverev overcame rising Dutch Talan Griekspoor to reach the second round. The world number 16, who defeated Roger Federer for the 2017 Canadian title, beat Griekspoor in straight sets 6-4, 7-6. With this victory, Spain's Davidovich Fokina awaits Zverev in round 2. Joining them was Australia's Alex de Minaur. De Minaur claimed a first-round win at the ATP Masters event with the current world number 18, overcoming British 11th seed Cameron Norrie 7-5, 6-4 in 1 hour and 43 minutes. The 24-year-old will next play Canada's Gabriel Diallo. Two men plead guilty to attempted murder. The details right after this breather. Welcome back. In Pulau Pinang, a plantation worker pleaded guilty in the Butterworth Sessions Court on Wednesday to a charge of attempting to murder his wife last month. Judge Zulhazmi Abdullah, however, set September 11th for mention for the 36-year-old accused, R. Retina Sami, to appoint a lawyer and submission of the victim's medical report. The man allegedly committed the offence by intentionally setting her 35-year-old wife ablaze at a premise at Ladang Mayfield in Tasik Gelugor on July 31st. The charge under the Penal Code provides imprisonment for up to 10 years and a fine upon conviction. Previously, it was reported that the man had allegedly used petrol to set his wife on fire due to misunderstanding. He then fled the scene before he was detained by police in Nibong Tebal last Thursday. The victim is currently being treated at Pulau Pinang Hospital with third-degree burns and is still unconscious. Meanwhile, at the Georgetown Sessions Court, an unemployed man pleaded guilty for the attempted murder of his two nieces last week. The 28-year-old gave the plea after the two charges were read to him separately before Judge Mazdi Abdul Hamid. On the first count, he was charged with attempting to murder his 44-day-old niece and causing her injury at a Nusantara flats at Jalan Maklum on August 2nd. He was also slapped with a similar charge involving his 3-year-old niece at the same location and time. The court denied bail and then ordered for the accused to undergo psychiatric examination at Hospital Bahagia Ulu Quinta in Perak. The judge also fixed September 11th for mention of the case. Previously, it was reported that the man was detained after throwing his 3-year-old niece from the first floor of the flat before throwing the younger sibling to the floor of their home. In Sarawak, police busted a syndicate involved in offering non-existent part-time jobs online following raids on 2 condominiums in Kuching on Monday. State Deputy Police Commissioner Datuk Mancha Atta said police also arrested 4 men and a woman, all in their 20s, in the 8 p.m. raids. Upon inspection at the condominiums, police found 45 ATM cards from various banks, 21 mobile phones of various brands, 3 vehicles, 3 computers, 2 modems and Wi-Fi routers. Datuk Mancha also said, based on initial investigations, the syndicate operated as a call center and their modus operandi was to offer lucrative commissions to victims for completing simple tasks by liking and sharing YouTube videos. The syndicate was believed to have been active since June, targeting Malaysians and Indonesians, with total losses estimated at 1.8 million ringgit. All suspects have been remanded for 4 days to assist investigations under the Penal Code for cheating and criminal conspiracy. Let's take a look as a Nigerian environment artist create portraits by weaving discarded aluminium beverage cans. With that, I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for watching and stay safe, Malaysia.